D.S. Mesram sir, who has joined and who has given us a consent to give a conclusive remarks. I welcome few of the Secretary General Kapoor Saab and few of our council members of ITPI New Delhi. I welcome all the participants, those who have joined through Zoom chat and those who are joining through Facebook Live also and YouTube. Basically, after the lockdown started due to the COVID condition, Institute of Town Planner Gujarat Regional Chapter has arranged one first of its webinar that was on second week of April related to resilient and sustainable urban planning. Similarly, by end of April, we had a second webinar that was on real estate outlook. Third was on disaster and urban management. Fourth was on post-lockdown professional practices. Fifth is a post-lockdown, what is the future of urban work? Then we had one planning of integrated and multimodal transport node. And last, we had one webinar that was post-COVID urban planning and new norms. So I'll again welcome you, all the participants, key speakers, my moderator and friend, Mr. Rajesh Rawal. On today's webinar, and we have planned in July 1st week, another webinar by Institute of Town Planner Gujarat Regional Chapter on way forward urban environmental planning. So again, through the social media, you will be intimated for the next webinar, and I am very much thankful to attending and giving a concluding remark by Dr. D.S. Mesram. Thank you very much. Yes, now you can pass it to Mr. Rajesh Rawal. Thank you very much.
Over to you, Rajesh.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Yash. First of all, I would also like to thank our ITPI Emeritus President, Sri Dr. D.S. Mesram, sir. I also thank N.K. Patel, Chairman GRC, Sri K.C. Patel, President GICA, for arranging today's webinar. I welcome all the senior members of ITPI, senior members of GICA, other members who have joined the webinar today, participating in the webinar, and ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends and all colleagues. Today's webinar, a way forward urban planning, town planning schemes and local area plans. Structure of the webinar will be giving 15 minutes approximate time to each of the speakers. We can have our questions in the chat box only, and after the both sessions, we may go for the question answers and interaction little bit whatever is possible, and then we will have concluding remarks from sir. To start with, most of us who have joined the webinar must be planners only, but we are recovering from this COVID and lockdown and all these things. It's now unlocking, rather unlockdown 1, unlockdown 2 maybe there. I think God is the best planner. Whatever he must have planned, it must have been better for the society. So taking it in a positive way, this COVID, Corona, whatever it has come, I take it in a positive way that all epidemics or any of the disaster which has come over to the world or to the city or anywhere has been a blessing in disguise. So this also may be a blessing in disguise. Earlier on 26 January 2001, when Gujarat had devastating earthquake, you must be knowing we have changed to lot. We have changed modification and modified our GDCRs. We are now lot much worried about structure, stability. So this Corona will also make us to learn something more. It has already given some work from home, to be with the family, cleanliness, transportation, and all these things. Now we are probably getting blessing in disguise. I will treat it as a blessing in disguise. Now for the subject, I will not go much more detailed to the facts and figures of number of towns or urbanization. But as far as Gujarat is concerned, with the 42.38% urbanization, we have got 396 towns, urban towns, which may be census and statutory towns altogether. We are having a town planning schemes model since a century. It's a century old model, and it is going very well in the state of Gujarat. If we go for the various acts, right from 1915 then to 1954 Act of Bombay Town Planning Act, repealed by 1976 Act, we had a major amendment in 1999, and again in 2014, introduction of the local area plans and all that things. Initially, it was only town planning schemes in 1915. We came with a development plan proposals in 1954 Act, urban development authorities, and then say when 1999 we had an amendment in the Town Planning Act, major amendment, which was you can have the infrastructure lands as soon as the draft town planning schemes are concerned. So in toto, we can say urban land planning or say urban planning based on the town planning schemes and local area plan has given us a lot. If we say Indian urban population, it's 11% population of the worldwide, and it will be 13% by 2030 as per UNO. The increase in population generally comes to the areas of the cities where it is either a greenfield or a brownfield. And in greenfield or brownfield, you have to plan it accordingly. In the greenfield, you may go for the town planning schemes, but in the browner field, it can be the local area plans only. TP scheme might not be understood by in toto by everybody, but because I am in the, and Vatsal is there who is going to give a presentation on TP scheme, but I am in the department since last 30 years. So I would like to brief you something about the town planning schemes. It's not just a layout. If you visit any of the town planning officer's office, and if you see the case files and everything, it's more than a layout only. Because as a town planning officer, is a quasi-judicial officer, and he will be interacting with all the owners, right from declaration of the intention of the scheme. When it is declared, it is put to the people by virtue of say gazette and papers and all that thing. Then you will have owners meeting, you will have publication in the draft town planning schemes. People's suggestions, objections invited every stage. When the draft scheme is submitted to government for sanction also, government also at that time sometimes take the decision, people's objections and direct the town planning officer to do accordingly whatever the applications has come. Town planning officer, after entering his duties, again calls for the each and every individual as a hearing. He gives a public hearing also, he gives individual hearing also. After the hearings, he makes the modification of the town planning schemes, send it to the CTP for some interaction with the chief town planner. And after that, he again send it to the local authority. So at the level of the local authority also, again, public participation of people's representative will be there. Their remarks, their suggestions, objections will also be introduced in the town planning schemes. And when it gets back to the town planning officer, what are the modifications? If it is a substantial modification, he put it again to the public. What I want to say is, n number of times we are making a public participation. And as a planner, we always say it should be public participatory. Whatever planning is public participatory. In 73rd and 74th Constitution, amendment of the Constitution, have shown that it should be district planning committee, metropolitan planning committee. But in town planning schemes, if you see, we make the people's participation to that extent. Because sometimes we feel, is it not much more than what is required? But if I look back to the history of the town planning schemes of 100 years, I have seen many of the schemes. Sometimes you will see how to what extent our today's subject is micro planning, means to the level of the micro thing we go. If I just give you an example, I was looking one of the scheme yesterday only. This was I just can show you. It's a scheme Manipur, 1931 sanction. Sir, in that town planning scheme, a road was to be widened from say 6 meters to 9 meters. So 1.5 meters deduction was there on both the sides. The town planning officer at the time of taking the decision, because there was mango trees on the boundary of the plot, and that has now come to the road. Town planning officer has written in that ticket scheme in the F form remarks that the fruits borne by the trees will be in the ownership of the original plot owners, though the now tree has gone into the alignment of the road. So that is the micro planning the town planning officers used to do at that time also, and till date also we have to do it. During the lockdown period, I was looking to some of the compilation of the town planning schemes right from 1915 to date. Sir, we have done 825 town planning schemes in Gujarat. Totally 825 town planning schemes has been prepared. Out of that, 350 are already finalized. 150 preliminary schemes are sanctioned. So in total, I have got 500 town planning schemes which are sanctioned and where all the implementation of the plots to infrastructure has been done. And more 300 town planning schemes, draft has been sanctioned and it is with the town planning officers. So there also, all the infrastructures can be laid because of, with the sanction of this draft town planning schemes. And some 25 TP schemes are in the pipeline at the level of the authorities. So such a large chunk of lands and everything comes to the authority. I was just looking to the day before yesterday when in the last week, we had 6 corporations limits has been expanded in Gujarat. Ahmedabad, Surat, Vadodara, Rajkot, Gandhinagar, and one more, Bhavnagar. And few of the Nagarpalikas has been submerged, merged into one Nagarpalika. Sir, in that one of the town planning schemes of Auda, about 20 town planning schemes area is going to the Gandhinagar Municipal Corporation. In those schemes, roughly 3.26 square kilometers plots are there, which will be now going to the Gandhinagar Municipal Corporation. So what I want to say, we can get such a urban planning from the town planning schemes. And I am presently with Honorable CM sir as a technical officer. We have sanctioned 225 town planning schemes in last 2.25 years, sir. So on every 4th day, we sanction one town planning scheme. It may be a varied, it may be a draft scheme, pre-MD or final scheme. But on the every 4th day, we have sanctioned one town planning scheme. So that's the pace of the development of town planning schemes and simultaneously the local area plans. Probably because of the topographical terrain, TP schemes is, town planning schemes are much more accepted by the people. And as far as the town, local area plan is concerned, we have introduced 76 AX section in the town planning act, and now we are going for local area plans also. Before going ahead, I will introduce our today's eminent speakers, Dr. Vatsal Patel and Ms. Deepa Dave. Dr. Vatsal Patel is a urban planner and an engineer, and also having a doctorate. He is a PhD from Nadia, did his PhD in solid waste management. He is a professional structural engineer also. He has a degree of engineering, urban planning, law, management, and whatnot. He started his career as a structural engineer, and then he joined the Municipal Corporation as a town planning inspector, and had at last when we got VRS, that is voluntary retirement, he took it last year, and he was the HOD in the town development department and also holding the post of chief city planner. He was also having the responsibility of general manager in the Sabarmati Riverfront Development Corporation, which is a jewel in the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation's projects. He was charged with many other responsibilities of say, development of e-governance, computer software for building plan approvals, of building plans, preparation, execution of many town planning schemes. He is a visiting faculty to many of the institutions like LD Engineering College, Nirma, SEET, and also he's the members of many of the professional societies like Plumbing Association, Indian Concrete Institute, Indian Society of Geometrics. He's also a vice president of Institute of Engineers, GICA, and he has prepared published many of the papers also, right from say leakage control in water distribution 1987 to legal framework of TP schemes and land filling sites. So he's a well-known face in the state of Gujarat as far as urban planning and structure designing is concerned. You will be delighted to hear him because he has got a vast experience from the field only. And before going to Vatsal Patel, I will also give an introduction for Ms. Deepa Dave. She is the assistant manager as an urban planner in Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. She is presently deputed to Auda also since 2008. She had earlier worked for the planning consultancy firm and research associate at SAPT University. She was a core member of the team for preparation of the development plan of Auda 2021, also in GDCR, local area plans of central business districts, many of the lake development projects, Transport Nagar, Ahmedabad. She was responsible mainly for the local area plans, and that's why we have called today her as a eminent speaker, because she did many of the local area plans for transit-oriented zone of western part of the city of Ahmedabad. It's first of its kind, and she did also integrated mobility plan for that area. She has also worked for some development plan for Bhutan, country of Bhutan in one of the city, and damage and loss assessment methodology, slum networking project. Above all, she is a civil engineer from Birla Vishwakam Mahavidyalaya, BVM College, and a planner from SEP. And I am also alumni of both these institutions. I was not her classmate in BVM at least, but I was her classmate or batchmate from SEP University. We did planning together. So I'm very proud that Deepa is making one of the presentation today, as she has attended many workshops also. One of the workshop was at Washington DC in 2017, also in Singapore and Hong Kong. So we have got two learned speakers today, and we are going to learn a lot from that. So now I request Dr. Vatsal Patel to please give his presentation. Thank you very much. Yes, Vatsal.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Good evening, friends. Specifically, good evening, Mishram sir, and thank you very much for giving this opportunity for sharing our views on micro-urban planning, particularly TP scheme and local area plan. I also thankful to GICA for giving this opportunity to interact with stalwarts of the fraternity of urban planning and civil engineering. We all know that after this COVID scenario, everybody is thinking that what should be the next as far as urban planning is concerned, as far as other thing is concerned. But let me tell you, so many times people argue that it doesn't make any difference whether same planning is going on or not. See, we have in Gujarat a very good experience of Bhuj earthquake. And after this Bhuj earthquake, we made lots of change in our GDCR as well as in our planning and development policy as well as in our act. So accordingly, because of that, now our town planning scheme, our development plan are more easy and it is, you can say, easily acceptable by the public as well as our GDCR particularly is more simple than previous. So basically, I want to tell that such type of opportunities is always good for the as far as urban planning is concerned. See, micro-urban planning, important tool to manage the urban land and improve its utilization efficiency. It's a system which concerns itself with the potential and reality of the space. Strong understanding.
Hello.
I don't know, somebody is on the screen. This strong understanding of place, community studying in it, and its integrable aspects form the basis of the better planning and its land management. For all this valid reason, the micro-urban planning can be used. What are the land management tools available just now in our industry or particularly in India? The lease and fair development. Such type of development in land management, you can say that the owner or developer takes the lead for individual development. So land owner or developer gathered the land parcel and make their own plan and get the approval from the local government and make the development. In this scenario, actually, there is only the control is to approval from the local government. No other control of the government is there. Even infrastructure is also provided by the private developer. Lease and fair development plus DP is one of the area in which the larger area plan with the absence of micro level planning, only the development plan can be made by the government and lease and fair development can be done by the private developer. The development via land acquisition. Development via land acquisition, so developer or the government acquire the entire land and then make the planning there, and according to that planning, they again sell the plots. These are the development plan via acquisition. Private townships. See, both type of private townships are there. One is the government owned government supporting private townships as well as the townships by the developer itself. I give you the example of like Lavasa. Lavasa is one of the private townships. But at the same time, here in the Shantigram is the private township, but supported by the Gujarat state government. The two-tier planning method, DP and TP mechanism. Actually, this DP and TP mechanism is prevailing in Gujarat under the Gujarat Town Planning and Urban Development Act, and it is more popular than any other methods because it is fair and just. I will give you another examples also. I can't understand who is making this type of disturbance by drawing some lines on the screen. Rajesh, do you see this on the screen?
Yeah, it is visible. There are some lines coming up on the screen. I'm also trying to resolve this.
I don't know, somebody doing that, but we don't know. Anyway, I request the person who is doing this kindly don't do because it is disturbing we all. Thank you very much. These are the examples of what I already explained you, the lease and fair development. See the photograph. There is no infrastructure. There is a farmland between the development. The development and farmland is mixed and there is no harmony, nothing. Lease fair development and DP. This is slightly better example because on one side you get the development as per development plan or as per the zoning. Development via land acquisition is the classic example of Gandhinagar and Chandigarh, where private townships, like I already told you, the Lavasa as well as here in Ahmedabad is a Shantigram. And DPTP mechanism. DPTP mechanism is the Gujarat, almost all the cities of Gujarat is now using this DPTP mechanism, and the development plan, the local government made the development plan, government approved it, and after the approval of development plan, one by one micro level planning of TP scheme took place. And as Rajesh already said, the more than 800 town planning scheme in the Gujarat is already prevailed, and out of this 800, about 350 town planning scheme for Ahmedabad. DPTP mechanism is much appreciated and successfully practiced, and transformation mechanism has been used in Gujarat for more than a century now. So first it was, I give you the further detail in the next slide, but however it dates back to Indus Valley civilization. Why Indus Valley civilization? Because at that time the Gritron pattern with access to basic infrastructure like sewerage, stormwater drainage, and water distribution network. See, at the time when the civilization started, at that time also human being or the people or the person or the decision makers always consider the priority of the health indirectly. See, sewerage, stormwater drainage were originally in the civilization valley. We get the lots of documents and proof. Current system of evolved in late 19th and early 20th century during the British rule, response to the challenges and rapid urbanization, and its root are with thought process of safeguarding British army in colonial countries from epidemic like cholera, plague and malaria. See why this new urban planning start? Because new urban planning start with the Britishers in colonial countries, and they want to safeguard their military because they are living in England, but they want to control these different countries in Africa as well as in Asia. So from far distance, they are more dependent on their army. So whatever they try to safeguard their army, and that's why this new form of urban planning start. The history of Indian planning is in brownfield development planning has taken up first through the City Improvement Trust in Bombay. The formation of Sanitary Commission Improvement Trust in late 1800 in response to improve the hygiene and living conditions. So Bombay Presidency was the first to have this kind of trust, Bombay Improvement Trust. Land Improvement Trust. From 1915 onward, organized pre-plan development was attended and through a tool known as the town planning schemes. The Bombay Town Planning Act is uh, came into force in 1915, and the first town planning scheme was made from Ahmedabad in Jamalpur, and it was approved in 1925. The Jamalpur TP scheme of Ahmedabad first approved in 1925, and you can say that now it's almost before the 100 years, because we are in the 1920. Need to macro level planning was realized, and New Bombay Town Planning Act 1954 was passed. It replaced the previous planning act to establish the two-state town planning mechanism. Two-state town planning mechanism in Bombay Town Planning Act in 1954, it's two-stage there. The development plan as well as the town planning scheme, that is two-state town planning mechanism. But later attempt orderly spatial development through use of perception started in Mumbai in 1964 through first DP. So first DP of Bombay was made in 1964. This attempt was replicated in many other cities of India where the growth was observed beyond the boundaries. In response to the Gujarat Town Planning and Urban Development Act 1976 was enforced. GTPUDA Act 1976 allowed the certain development authorities and responsible for preparing development plan for the larger urban area. See, in Gujarat 1976, Gujarat Town Planning Act empowered the development authorities for making the development plan. And local development authority means it's a participation of local people. Since Gujarat has prepared many development plans to facilitate or organize development and obtain land for roads, infrastructure and amenities in the growing areas. See, the development plan and through TP schemes, Gujarat cities are getting the land for their infrastructures. To achieve the vision created by macro level through development plan, the specific sections of in GTPUDA Act were introduced for its implementation of micro level planning. And with this micro level planning, the basic for three-state town planning schemes was introduced. So preliminary, draft, preliminary and final. Gujarat Town Planning Act allowed the certain development authorities and responsible for the preparation of development plan for the larger development of town planning scheme at micro level. So not only the development plan, but local authorities can also be empowered for making the town planning schemes, as well as the local area plan. The major objective of this mechanism was to provide a planned infrastructure at neighborhood level through land pooling and land readjustment process with land value consideration. See, these and each and every word is very important. Level through land pooling, land readjustment process with land value consideration. See, these three points are the basis for the town planning schemes. Why these town planning schemes and such type of development town planning mechanism is successful in the Gujarat? Because allow the authority to obtain land for public purpose without compulsory land acquisition. See, the Ahmedabad 76-kilometer long Sardar Patel Ring Road is the classic example. Within the 3 years of its proposal, it was functional, and now it is going to be expansion is going on. Good alternative to assemble land for providing infrastructure and amenities. Consider fair and equitable. See, we are not depriving the landlord from their land rights, like in Compulsory Land Acquisition Act. So we just take some portion of their land as a contribution and give the remaining portion to them with the infrastructure and with the regular share. Land value appreciation. See, once the TP scheme is introduced, and you definitely get the appreciation in the land. So because of the new infrastructure as well as the public amenities, the land prices in that area will increase. Democratic in nature. Why we always say that the TP scheme is democratic? Because during the entire process, 3 to 4 times, we interact with the people, with the landlord, and we get their suggestions, objections, we hear them, and then we finalize the final proposals. Most importantly, it is self-sustaining model of development because it's a public-private partnership type model. Public also get the advantage, at the same time authority is also getting the money for making the infrastructures. What are the challenges? Providing adequate public amenities, road, green, parks, gardens and open space through the TP scheme. Enable the long-term infrastructure for stormwater, water supply, sewerage with allocation of space for water treatment plant and sewer treatment plant. Widening of streets in the brownfield area and housing for socially and economically weaker sections. Preservations of ecological aspects of the development area and cash flow management and phase-wise implementation. Emergence of newer challenges in micro level planning. Why these new challenges? Because of this COVID, we are rethinking on the micro level planning and particularly how we want to make changes in the town planning schemes. Managing the peripheral urban growth, redevelopment and rejuvenation of older city Gamtal areas. See, now the red zone in Ahmedabad maximum in the Fort Wall area or Gamtal area. How to overcome such type of pandemic situation through TP scheme is one of the challenge. Regulation of illegal constructions, rehabilitation of informal settlements, carve out the space for informal market, vendor and activities. Responding to the need to the urban health infrastructure in compact development, high-rise, high-density areas and overall urban development areas. See, this point is very important as far as when we are thinking the town planning scheme and incoming time. Over the past decade, we have witnessed the rebirth of an important relationship between urban planning and public health. See, initially when this urban planning started, we know that it was started because of public health. And now it is the time to again rethink that what is the relationship between public health and urban planning and how we can improve the public health through urban planning or through micro level planning. Urban planning was itself a health response to poor living conditions and in the urban development of the very early industrial era. Why integration of health and urban infrastructure is important in planning? To address the risks and the challenges arises from the rapid urbanizations. Tackling the growth burden of disease and health inequalities. To improve the ability of place and its people to prepare for withstand a response to a hazard, an epidemic or pandemic. This last point is very important, how we can improve the ability of a place through town planning scheme. I will discuss it in next slides. See, integration of health and urban infrastructure is important in planning. So, diagnosis, then we try to solve it. We try to solve it by evidence of work and health and impact testing proposals. So we make some formulations and try to solve that problem. Then we implement it, supporting inclusion and engagement. We implement it and then we observe it, how it is affecting the overall health and overall public health. And then we monitor and evaluate. Again, we get some data, and on the basis of that data, we again diagnosis, and the same cycle is going on. Whatever the scale for time frame, planning process should proceed internally and subsequently through a series of phases. So trial and error is always there in urban planning, as well as the relationship between the health and the urban planning. Planning as a tool enabling the urban health infrastructure. Three enablers: people and process. See, for place, we make the proposals. For people, we make the regulations. For process, we need the finance. And accordingly, the decision makers and the stakeholders will behave and will act. And again, we revise it, the place with the proposal, the people, we revise the regulations. For the process, we revise our financings and controllers. Planning guidelines and standards should be can be improved through the planning. Housing density guideline in relation to facilities, etc. Building standards, daylight, air ventilation, insulation, noise, all such things can be modified time and again. Plans and strategies, city, region, spatial strategies, implementation, and monitoring and evaluation. Planning as a tool. See, probably you can see this slide, but the major points is covered in bigger font. The planning is more socially inclusive places. Planning better connected places. See, all such points can be possible through TP schemes, through proper TP schemes mechanisms. Institutionally integrated planning more compact places, well-designed and accessible green, blue, and public spaces, planning better connected places, ensuring adequate access to health infrastructure, integrating environmental consideration, and planning places for more resilient to climate change and natural disasters. All these points can be covered and can be addressed through town planning scheme. This is my almost very important slide as far as the micro level planning is concerned. How this town planning and micro level planning can be used for and can be integrated with the health or public health. A mixed use development, ensuring high walkability index and high bicycle equality and equality index with the dense plan. Walkability index can be increased through bicycle and through giving the dense road network. See, width of the road is not important. Even the density of the road is equally important. Prioritization and preservation of key environmental features, including water bodies, streams, watersheds, and catchment area. See, in town planning scheme, if we make the road in such a way that it follows the natural slope, then waterlogging situation can be controlled in the city area. To ensure judicial allocation of land for urban health centers and network of gardens and open space and other civic amenities, I suggest that 3 to 4 multi-use open spaces plots of at least 25,000 square meters should be carved out per square kilometer area of town planning scheme. Because this open space is multi-purpose use space. I'm not talking about only green space. I'm talking about like our in Ahmedabad, like Gujarat University ground. That ground can be used for multi-purpose. Even in such type of pandemic situation, it can be used for making the temporary hospitals also. Ensure the provision of high quality water and sewerage infrastructure that is easy to operate and maintain carve out plot for preliminary and primary sewer treatment plant at TP scheme level. See, this is very new concept and very important concept. See, every time we have centralized sewer treatment plant, so whatever the sewerage from the entire city, we just transfer it through the pipeline to the end. But if we provide local level preliminary and primary sewer treatment plant at local level, then the effluent of that plant can only be transferred to the main plant. So ultimately, we reduce the load at main plant. So such type of small local level treatment plant can be provided, and the land can be obtained or carved out through the TP scheme. Promote and regularize the concept of energy efficient building. See, day by day, green building, fine, but whether you name it as a green building or whatever, but ultimately the goal should be sustainable energy efficient building should be the goal. Provision enabler of promotion of local flood or local food, urban farms and healthy food access strategies. Demarcate plots and space for informal activities. In the town planning scheme, we normally ignore the informal activity. See, now during this COVID situations, we understand that what is the value of this informal activity, and it is not a taboo. Like weekend markets, vegetable market, grocery markets, the spaces for this type of market is necessary to provide in the town planning schemes. Ensure continuity of city-wide network of road with the layout of street or roads in planning proposals responding to the traffic congestion problem. Not only the traffic congestion problem, obviously we make the TP scheme, we make the road network to control the traffic problem, but dedicated supply chain. See, this in this COVID situation, we face that because of the inefficient supply network, the supply chain was disturbed during the epidemic. And connecting the local level open spaces. See, the open spaces can be provided, but if this open spaces is not properly connected to each other, then at the time of epidemic, it is difficult to reach that places. So the proper network should be provided, and all the open spaces or multi-purpose open spaces can be connected through the special routes. Reduce percentage of plot for sale and increase the multi-purpose open plots in TP scheme. See, now in Gujarat Town Planning Act, we have 15% plots for the sale, for residential and commercial sale plot. See, we know that the authority it is not easy for the authority to just sell the plots. It is better that we reduce the level from 15% to 10%, and that extra 5% we can add to the plots for carving out the multi-purpose plots in TP schemes. Even offer TDR or more FSI to the landlord who displaced from his OP for carving out multi-purpose open plots in TP scheme. Just now we know that there is a policy of government that FP should be provided in the OP. In these situations, it is not possible to carve out the 25,000 square meter type of big land parcel or open space multi-purpose plot in the TP scheme. But if we allow that the person who is whose OP is under the open space plot, we give them more TDR and even FSI, then people easily accept the proposal, and city level we get the multi-purpose open plots. Because of this planning intervention, we can get the high workable neighborhood, diverse land mix use and street connectivity. Because of this, I suggested a few points in the TP scheme, we get this type of results. Stimulating the healthy food environment and healthy climate, and aim and discourage smoking to reduce the noise and air pollution and to promote the physical activity. See, I am writing, when I was writing this, this smoking is a really issue for the social, in the social, you can say it is a social issue. Smoking is a social issue. See, during this lockdown, the pan gallas and everything were closed. Still, the smokers get the cigarettes from in the black market. But actually, the lots of smokers I know, they accept that because of this type of lockdown, they reduce the smoking or they'll quit the smoking. See, this is very important. Instrumental in tackling the issues emerging with the rapid urbanization and development by the preservation of ecological aspects of the planning area. See, originally in the town planning scheme, we were not respecting the water bodies. But now, after last 20 years, whichever the new town planning scheme we make, we preserve the water body and we make the garden or a green space all around the water body. But we forget that we all have to also safeguard the catchment area of that particular river body. So in town planning scheme, we have to make such type of small changes, and ultimately we get the sustainable development goals and protect the ecosystems. Thank you very much. And now over to Deepa Dave. Deepa will discuss on micro level planning of local area plan mechanism. Thank you everybody. Question answer. I will give the answers of your questions at the end of this presentation of Deepa. Over to Deepa. Deepa, you open your microphone. Your microphone. Yeah, thank you. Now,
yes.
share your.
Yeah. Good evening, friends. First of all, thank you to Mishram sir, N.K. Patel sir, Rajesh bhai, Vatsal bhai, Rajesh bhai Patel, and all my ITPI friends and GICA friends. It is indeed a pleasure to be invited in this webinar and to be on this panel with this distinguished speakers. Now, already Rajesh bhai and Vatsal bhai explained us how we have started our planning and how we can reach up to the local area plan. Now, let me straight away start with my presentation and take you to the concept of local area plan through this Ahmedabad experience. So for me, local area plan is keeping the city within the city. Now, LAP is not a new concept or the worldwide. It is a result of an ongoing process, not a planned process. Basically, development dynamics is keep changing with the time and growth. Keeping this dynamics in the mind, the LAP for a particular city has to be planned and evolved. Now, looking to the worldwide, if we see LAP is not new. Prepare LAP for the different purposes to protect the important qualities of the town, for the distinctive precinct, for the sustainable transport strategy, for the sustainable use mix like TOD policy, that's what we are doing, and special development area. It can be cultural, heritage, or economic value. Now, if we see the different cities in the world, they have reached up to the FAR 8 or 10 or 15. So they have already evolved somewhere. The planning process has been evolved time by time, and they have reached up to this level, and we are in the process of the same. Our city is still the developing city, and we are evolving the different processes. Now, to the managing the densification of Ahmedabad for the CBD and TOZ area, Ahmedabad have adopted this practice for implementation of the LAP. Basically, we have proposed the CBD and TOZ in the development plan, and we are planning the local area plan for this LAP area. Now, the major idea behind the local area plan is to manage the growing density development, to provide the efficient use of ground, to provide the sustainable infrastructure, enhance and give the enjoyable ambience and the public places, accessible and efficient transit connectivity, and provide the green transit network. Now, if we understand LAP, then basically it's a sustainable community where people want to live and work now and in future. In terms of planning, if we redefine the planning, the existing developed, undeveloped, or developing area in terms of accessibility, walkability, connectivity, and as well as we plan for the future infrastructure, amenities, and utilities to sustain the future density and growth, that we can say can be the local area plan. As my senior officers and colleague already explained, like we are following the three-tier planning process. Earlier, we have already followed a two-tier planning process, the development plan and town planning scheme. And now we have added the local area plan. So that we call the basically brownfield TP scheme or the special area development. Now, under Gujarat Town Planning and Development Act 76, that was amended in 2014, and the local area plan has been added in that as a section 76A. And in that, a statutory provision has been explained very well. In that, the process is the same as the town planning scheme mechanism. We have to publish the boundary, we have to make a plan, then we call the stakeholder meeting and invite objection and suggestion from the people. We also consider the objection and suggestion, modify the LAP accordingly, and same shall be published in the official gazette again, for again inviting the objection and suggestion, and final that plan shall be submitted to the government. Now let's understand how Ahmedabad has done this process, and it is the pioneer for this local area plan. So how we have done this? I would like to start with the development plan concept. So when we are preparing the development plan, our focus was on the compact city planning, and the pivot was the public transportation. So in this regard, the vertical development was the must, and Ahmedabad has proposed the transit oriented zone and CBD zone in this area. So total Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation area, earlier that was 190 square kilometer. In 2008, it was added in 450 square kilometer. And now recently, we have added few more, some more areas in the corporation limit, and now it is 503 square kilometer of the area, while the Ouda area is 1866 square kilometer. So the development plan was published in 2013 and sanctioned in 2014 by the government of Gujarat. So when government sanctioned the development plan, our major proposal was the CBD, Central Business District, along the Ashram Road, and in the eastern side there is near the Gandhi Bridge, and the transit oriented zone, that is a buffer along the BRTS and metro corridor. Now TOZ, that is a buffer along the BRTS and metro corridor, that area is spread all over the city, and buffer is almost 40 square kilometer, where the MRTS length is 40 kilometer and BRTS is approximately 120 kilometer. So for the ease of planning, we divided this whole area into different small components. The area can be predominantly residential, predominantly commercial, predominantly depends on the characteristic. We can plan specially for that area, and we can also give the special GDCR for each of our plan. Now, basically, when we are saying the local area plan, we want to improve the quality of life. We want to enhance the existing situation where we are adding up the new FSI in the city, which is the existing city. Already the development plan is there since decades. Already town planning scheme mechanism has been prepared and implemented since year back, and the area is already developed. How we can enhance the quality of life and provide the city can be the sustainable for the future densification. So in that, we are adding spaces for the public realm. So for that, one thing is we can add on the space for the public places and make our public transportation sustainable. As well, we can improve the pedestrian spaces by improving the street network. Now, when we talk about the sustainable public transport or enhance the public transport, basically, we are adding the space for pedestrian area, enhancing the green transit, increasing the transit efficiency, and try to provide the last mile connectivity. Even for the sustainable mode of transportation, we have to relate the different mode of transportation, how we can best efficiently use the different mode of public transportation. So this is Ahmedabad area. Our 132 feet ring road is there on the vertical area, that is from Ashram Road to Usmanpura to Badaj. And in this area, this is the BRTS stops and ridership has been planned. As this is the part of the TOD area, BRTS is there. And between two BRTS line, all along the railway line, MRTS is going through. This is existing AMTS route in the same area. And these are the existing public transport network. It means MRT area, MRT line, that is green is the MRTS line, AMTS and BRTS line. So how efficiently we can use this public transportation? We have added new connection within the local area plan area, within the transit corridor area, as well as between two transit corridor. So between two local area plan, also the area in between that area is also very important for us, and how we can enhance public transportation in that area. That is our first lookout. Now this is the existing BRTS station near Shivrandi. So all along the major BRTS station, we have proposed plaza. All over the city, it is not possible to propose plaza, but whenever the major BRTS station is there, whenever we can identify the space, whenever the government plot is available, or whenever the large chunk of land is available and that is very potential for the redevelopment, at that place we can propose the plaza. And we also provide the direct connectivity between the station and the MRT connection. So this is how we are trying to enhance the public transportation. Now second, our criteria is improve the pedestrian space and improving the street network. So basically that is we are managing space between the buildings. We are providing some permeable urban design framework, the development of attractive streets and squares, and increasing diversity of open spaces. For that, a lot of studies and analysis has been done, but our base work is we have to go through the total station survey. So fresh total station survey has been done, in which we have taken care of all the physical parameters, road network, building typology, building height, and all the physical aspects which are existing on the site. This is the existing street network. When we have laid down the development plan roads, gray is the TP scheme road. So already, as we all know, Ahmedabad is already following the town planning scheme mechanism since years, and we are in Gujarat, we are following the town planning scheme since 100 years. So we have very good existing street network. That is always there. A final plot boundary, defined final plot boundary, a regular shape and size plots are there. So it is there. But now how to enhance this area and how to make this area more sustainable for the future FSI? That is the question. So we have added on the few future roads. So that, as I said, this is managing the space between the buildings. Between two final plot boundaries where the space is possible or available, we have, and it is required to connect with the public transport corridor, we have planned the new connection between that. So new ROW has been proposed. Another new concept has been introduced in this local area plan, that is about the flexible road. Now, what is flexible road? So earlier when we put a red line or some road network, it is a fix that road will pass through in this, between this and this alignment. But when we say flexible road, it means a large chunk of block under one ownership. It can be trust, it can be educational institute, or it can be private large chunk of society. For example, it can be Gujarat University, it can be Gujarat Housing Board, it can be a large chunk of private society, which is potential for redevelopment. And now as they are getting the 4 FSI, whenever they go for the redevelopment, they have to give connection between that A to B, from the public transport corridor to the end road. And that road is, they can shift 25 to 50 meter on either side for ease of planning and for ease of architecture design. We have also identified few pedestrian connectivity. It can be the society road. It can be the small, narrow 3 meter, 4 meter wide street between the buildings. For that, we might need to remove the existing compound walls, or remove the gate between the societies. In this whole process, we have reduced the block perimeter. And one more concept we have introduced that is quite important, that is public domain, the space for the pedestrian. Like in the whole crux of this planning is how to enhance public transportation and how to provide space for the public pedestrians, how we can provide the better space. So in this, we have introduced that in our GDCR, we are giving the front margin. For each of the final plot, need to keep their front margin open. From that front margin, if the road is up to 18-meter wide, they have to keep the 3-meter space for the public domain. As well as if the road is more than 18-meter wide, they have to keep 4.5-meter space open for this public domain area. And that space might be used for the future street or pedestrian walkways. Now, even side and grade margin shall be part of our future street. As I say, future road, it cannot be it can be the large 9-meter road, it can be 7-meter road, or it can be a small street. We can pedestrian or cycle movement can be accessible from this marginal space. And finally, we prepared some kind of plan in which we identify the public plaza, that is small purple dot, and the social infrastructure, brown hatch plots. Now, plaza, it can be managed the spillover of the major transit station as well as social infrastructure to manage and provide the future amenities to the citizens. It can be for the parking purpose, it can be for the fire station, police station, or other in future requirement as per the city's need. Now, the final proposal, which incorporate all kind of road network, plaza, social infrastructure, that is prepared and keep it open for the stakeholder consultation. So all people need to call at our office. They can check, see their plan, and they can give their objection and suggestion within the 15 days of this area period. And after that, we need to consider the objection suggestion. If required, we modified our local area plan and again published in the official gazette. Again, we re-invite the objection and suggestion, and the final plan need to be submitted to the government. Now, during this whole, like wherever the open space is available, where the government plots are available, how we can provide the better parking facilities and lot many things. So the noteworthy projects arising from the LAP, and one of them is the Smart City project Ahmedabad. It is near the Wada Junction. On the eastern side, it is Gandhi Ashram. Western side, we can see that is Ashram Road, Grey Road. On the northern side, it's a 132-feet ring road. And the whole pocket with the sectoral plan as well as green and blue, we can see that is the slum rehabilitation project. There are almost 8,000 hutments living there. We are rehabilitate them in the same place. We have divided the whole area into different sectors. Sector 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, kind of 6 sectors are there. And the roadside sector has been given to the private developer for the development. And the next sector, the B sector, has been developed by the developer, and they have to construct our EWSH 40 square meter size units for our slum people, that to rehabilitate that people. Even this plan, we are able to connect our transit corridor with the Sabarmati riverfront. We can plan a large-scale urban park there all along the Chandrabhaga Nala. We also propose the sewage treatment plan and water treatment plan. Out of that, sewage treatment plan is already been constructed. There 60 MLD sewage treatment plan is working. We also provide social infrastructure plot in the southern part of the map where hatch is there. So where we are give space for the fire station, and multimodal hub is also planned in this project. So in the northern side, AMTS, BRTS is there, GSRTC Street Transport Terminal is there, and metro is also going through this road, and which is the major connectivity between the Gandhinagar and Ahmedabad, the core city. So blue color, that is we identify the intermodal hub for this area. The tender already has been floated. Out of this, all sectors, already 3 sectors tender has been commissioned, and the developer has been selected, and the work has been started in this area. Out of that also, we have identified few garden and public spaces, and we also design and give improvement plan garden and public of this local GDCR for TOZ area. We are already
Hello.
Muted.
Hello. Hello.
that footpath, there is green and yellow paver blocks are there. So that is basically original plot boundaries there. So out of that front margin, 4.5 meter, they have to keep it open with the plantation for the public domain. And in this way, in future, we'll get the 4.5 meter public domain plus the 3 meter footpath. So that much wide pedestrian movement will get. This is another example, that is Amli Road. And as people understand this is the pedestrian space, or this space will be owned by the authority in future, we have asked to do the green and yellow pavers to identify the space. And this is within the city, there is Rakhyal Road. Rakhyal is a very dense area near the old city area. And there also people are redeveloping and we are getting the public domain. Now, if we do the summary of this local area plan, basically, it's a market-driven exercise. It is not, we cannot implement and enforce within the particular time limit. But if the market is there, if the demand is there, if the market is willing to use the higher FSI, and we'll definitely get this public domain, we'll definitely get the new connections, and the area will be redeveloped. So in this approach, we minimize the need for demolition and acquisition. We also improve the walkability of street by splitting the existing large blocks to smaller walkable blocks. The increased area under public domain would help in providing widened walkways, street furniture, and bus stops, etc., to improve the pedestrian environment. And by this way, we can provide the enjoyable ambience in public spaces. We can also use by providing public plaza, we can do the efficient use of ground. We can manage the densification in the better way. And this methodology adopted for adding new street in the city, they assure that the ease of implementing and the market feasibility. Thank you. So this was, I was talking about local area plan. Now we can go ahead with the question answer, or as per the sheet. Moderator, please kindly guide us.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Sir.
Okay. I'm audible, na?
Yes,
Right.
you are audible.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So both the presentations were very elaborative, particularly as I was saying, Vatsal did for urban health integration and all these things. And what is planning in means social inclusive planning? He has given a very good narration. You had also pointed out to increase the open space area from 5% to 10%. Here, just I would like to share my little bit of act provisions that in Town Planning Act, you must be knowing it is up to 50%, means a land which is taken as a deduction from the totality of the area. Suppose if I'm getting 35% of the land, and because some of the areas are say water body already constructed areas, and if I'm getting only 35 of the total, from that 35 how I have to distribute, that is shown in the act. So up to 5% it can be open space, up to 15% it can be sellable for plot, up to 15% for roads, and up to 5% for social infrastructure, and up to 10% for social and economic and Vikas section housing. However, let me tell you, section 43J, I mean, there are three subclause which can be altered depending upon the nature of development. So in a case where you want to go for 10%, Act allows you right now also. You don't have to make any changes in the Town Planning Act, because Act allows you to give, you go for the even 25% of the open spaces in one of the town planning schemes if it is in carved out in such a fashion. Suppose a low garden or a very big garden, you want to have it in town planning scheme, you can increase the rates. Only the cap which has been kept is for sellable plots. In sellable plots, it can never be increased from 15 to 16%. Even if it is 15.1%, the scheme is liable to be rejected. So that can always be done. And recently, while sanctioning of the town planning, two town planning schemes of AUDA after this COVID only, Honorable Additional Chief Secretary Sir has converted few of the plots into open space. That was because of this, what you have suggested. Probably Urban Development Department took it very seriously. And in this town planning schemes, few of the town planning schemes which has been sanctioned recently, we have converted few sellable plots into open space in the draft scheme level only. So that was one point. Deepa, you have given a very good presentation on the local area plans. Wherever already town planning schemes has been finalized, the city is developed, and you want to improve the infrastructure of that area, you want to make a few of the lands into public domain. It's really I mean, new experience we are having. Yes, and the municipal corporation AUDA has submitted many of the local area plans to the government, and government is in the process of sanctioning all these local area plans. I think we'll have a total revitalization, rejuvenation of the city, and it can be, I mean, shared with all the other states also to have these local area plans and TP schemes. Now, I think we should go for the some of the questions answers which has been put by various people. I just start with one of the question. It was, can the incremental contribution be waived by the authorities? Vatsal, you can answer it, or then I will. Incremental contribution to be waived by the authority. Vatsal, should you answer? Hello.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I gave this answer to in chat privately, but still I want to give answer in for everybody. Normally, authority is not waiving any such type of contributions, but the entire contribution calculations is based on the type of infrastructure provided and the cost of infrastructure, and at the same time, what type of, how much the value increase in the original plot of the original plot. So actually, no local government is waiving the contribution. It is my opinion, because it is the calculations, and that calculation is based on the type of infrastructure, cost of infrastructure, and even the income from the TP scheme also is important for deciding this contribution. Suppose I get more price of sale for plot, income from sale for plot, then probably I ask zero contribution from the landlord. This is my submission. If anything extra or anything, any modification you want, then Rajesh, you are the better person.
I will add something to this. In last 2 years, as I was saying, we had sanctioned 58 final town planning schemes, 58 plus 3 recently, so 61 final town planning schemes. You would be astonished to hear that out of these 61 town planning schemes, only 6 town planning schemes were such where somebody has gone to Board of Appeal. There is a Board of Appeal constituted under section 55 in each of the town planning schemes for finance part. Physical planning is taken care into preliminary part. In the financial part, there is final scheme. People can have a chance to go to Board of Appeal, which is headed by a judge of the district court. Now it is the president of Board of Appeal, a single judge only for the whole of the state, and 2 other assessors, 1 technical and 1 legal assessor. But only 6 TP schemes where appeal has been filed, and that only 2 or 3 appeals. Means out of 61 TP schemes, 55 people agreed to the incremental contribution or compensation or whatever it may be. Because in Gujarat, probably people do not care for the financial part because they have already got the appreciation to such an extent which they would not have ever thought in the physical planning. So incremental contribution is not to that extent. But as Vatsal has said, it is up to 50%. At any point of time, it can be reduced also. And in Kutch, when the earthquake was there, probably we had gone to 10% or so only. And in Dholera also, they have reduced to some of the incremental contribution from 50% to lower rate. But however, generally, if you get the good plots and it can be matched upon both the things financially, so incremental contribution is not to that much extent variable sum. Yes. Second was also for you, why Maharashtra has failed in implementing town planning schemes in spite of their MRTP Act 1966.
Yeah, I already gave the answer. My answer is, see, any urban planning or town planning, it is the question of willingness of political as well as administrative will. See, in Gujarat, we constantly practicing this town planning scheme and DPTP mechanisms, and time and again, frequently we modify or we revise our act. And more than 25,000, this act was challenged up to Supreme Court. And see, such type of act, when the challenge to the Supreme Court or when challenge to the apex court, they give the judgment. And because of such type of judgment, it become more clear and more practical. So if you constantly try to practice such type of thing, then you will get better result. You leave it, then ultimately you have to go to some other act. And Gujarat is practicing since long. That's why it is now more efficient in Gujarat.
And one of the reason was that also, Vatsal, because in 1976, we changed to preliminary scheme and final scheme. Means the scheme was bifurcated to the both the things. Otherwise, it was final scheme earlier only. So for the financial part, it used to take a very, very long time. So ultimately, only final scheme was to be sanctioned and it should take 20-25 years. But we have converted into draft, preliminary, and final scheme. Draft was already there. But what we have done is we can take the lengths of infrastructure plots and roads after draft only. Physical planning is completely done on the site after preliminary scheme. So final scheme is left out only for the finance part where nobody sometimes cares also. So probably Maharashtra could not do that at that time. Now, obviously, they are also in the process of doing the TP schemes, more TP schemes they are also coming with, and they are doing good. Yes, that was there. One Mr. Shashikant has said how brownfield areas of the cities can be planned beyond current TP schemes. He is saying you are encroaching TP schemes by LAP. Deepa, his question is LAP should not be, it is a violation by on the part of owners. So you must answer very wisely, please.
Yeah, actually, when we are saying we are planning for the local area plan, basically developing the public area. In TP scheme, we have power to get the 40% of the land back, in which in LAP, we are not getting any land from the private people. What land we are utilizing is either from the front margin, and in for that land, we are also giving the benefit of the either finance or the benefit of the FSI. So they are getting FSI of this land parcel, and we are adding the few connection, public transport, plaza, that all in the public domain area, in the government land or the authorities land bank. So that is one thing. Second thing, when we go for the higher FSI and the densification, the demand from the people is going to increase. Finally, the land or from the area that we are redefining or redeveloping, that is we are doing for the people, for that area. So we're getting something from that and utilizing that land for there only. Sir, please add on something if I miss something.
That's very fine. Yes. Let me tell you, LAP has not come all of a sudden. We have introduced in the Town Planning Act only. So now it's a part of Town Planning Act also. As you have said, I mean, the person, Mr. Dr. Sashikant or Mr. Sashikant has said it should have been done by BPMC Act. Okay, it might have been done by BPMC Act, but when we can do it with the, Town Planning Act also, the statutory provision has been made. So it is like that. Secondly, I mean, just I will, before handing over to our Dr. Mesram sir for concluding, because we are taking a lot of time, people might be wanting to now summing up also. Mr. Ravindra Rahigude has given a very good suggestion. All this, I mean, to all team, this should go on the social media because Gujarat is doing a very good job and it can be shared to all the states. Yes, sir, we very well are with you, and we would also like to go and share our experiences with all the states so that as a country we have the development potentials of each and every state to each and other also. And Mr. Lakshman has said, what can be the size of LAPs and TPS? Mr. Srinivas is already on the line, I mean, in the webinar, and he has already given a response to him also. But just, I will give you an example. Hello. Yes, I just will say, as far as TP scheme is concerned, actually there is no where area is mentioned, even in development plan. And in our case, Town Planning Act, that's the main thing. Though we don't have a regional planning act, but our OUDA is as good as one region. It's, as Deepa said, it's 1866 square kilometers of the area. So you are planning a 2000 square kilometer area, which is not just a city or authority. It can be termed as a region. As similarly in the town planning scheme also, area has not been defined anywhere, but you can have it from 1 or 2 hectares from Gamtal area in Bhuj. We did it 265 square kilometers in Dholera. So it can be anything, but it should be handleable also, because whenever you are planning any area and if something goes wrong, then whole of the TP scheme should not be stuck up. So generally we stick up to say 5-6 hectares nowadays, and up to 10 hectares maximum in a city area. We have got 1204 scheme in Ahmedabad, which is 1100 hectares. But generally it is maybe 250 or 300 hectares is the right choice. That is one thing. And now I think I would request Honorable Dr. D.S. Mesram sir to give a concluding remarks, because we all would like to hear him. He is a very good orator and obviously a emeritus president of ITPI. So it will be an honor for us to hear him today, sir. He is not on the screen, sir. He is not on the screen.
He's on the screen.
Okay, right. Mesram sir.
Mishram sir, I have unmuted you. You need to accept.
Can you hear me?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Team GRC, excellent work done by the GRC, specifically under the guidance of Shri N.K. Patel Bhai, Chairman GRC, Vice Chairman GRC, Shri Rajesh Rawalji, and of course, a very elaborate presentation by Dr. Vatsal Patel, former Chief City Planner, AMC, and of course, Madam Deepika Dave, also from the AMC. Very good presentations, very elaborate, very educative. Yeah, really, I enjoyed both the presentations. Well, when the Vice President of the GRC started, Rajesh, hello?
Yes.
What happened? The excellent presentations, and the Vice Chairman of the GRC has said that God is a very good planner, and we learn from the new normals, and definitely we are going to learn more as far as the new normals are concerned. The presentation by Dr. Vatsal Patel not only covers the other aspect, but also covers the social infrastructure and physical infrastructure also, how it can be provided as far as the town planning schemes are concerned, specifically with reference to the new normals, which we are taking into the consideration. He has given the achievements as far as the TPS is concerned in the Gujarat. That is 76-kilometer long Sardar Patel Road has been constructed under the TPS scheme. He has also said that the TPS scheme is the democratic in the nature and provide public amenities also. The managing the peripheral urban growth, it is easier taking into consideration that our town planning schemes are concerned. He has also given that the social infrastructure, specifically health, can be provided through the TPS schemes. And he has also demonstration that the three aspects, the first one is the place. That is, he has said that the proposals are given as per the place is concerned. As far as the regulations are concerned, that is for the people. And as far as the process is concerned, he has concentrated on the financial aspects also. He has also said that the value of the informal activities can be increased through the TPS schemes also. And we can learn much more as far as the COVID-19 is concerned, and that the special requirements in terms of the lockdown can also be achieved as far as the TPS schemes are concerned. This is what the Dr. Vatsal Patel has said. As far as the Deepa Dave is concerned, she has concentrated her presentation on the lab, that is for the brownfield development, and the local area plans. She has given the experience of the Ahmedabad, and she has very vehemently said that keeping the city within the city is really as far as the moral of the story of the lab is concerned. To manage the growing density of the development can be achieved through the lab, she has said. And she has also mentioned specifically that Gujarat Town Planning Act and the Urban Development Act 1976 amended in the 2014 to include the provision of the local area plans, and this has been very, very successfully achieved. She has also given the demonstration how LAP has been prepared for the CBD and TOD, as well as both the aspects have been covered as far as the Ahmedabad experience is concerned. She has also taken into the consideration not only the physical aspects, but the financial aspects, and also the implementation aspect also as far as the lab is concerned. She has said specifically while closing her presentation that the approach adopted is the market-driven approach, and that is why it will definitely be the successful. One of the questions, the answer given by Dr. Vatsal Patel is really very interesting. How this TPS scheme has succeeded, and he has given a very excellent remark, which I do agree with him, that is the political will and administrative acumen plays the much more important role as far as the success of the TPS scheme is concerned. I fully endorse, fully agree as far as the remarks are concerned. Well, let me also say that my colleague, Sri R. Srinivas, has specifically told me that in the smart city mission, the pilot has been taken as far as the formulation of the local area plans and town planning schemes are concerned, specifically in the during July 2018, for which 50 crores has been allocated and 2 crores each city, because 25 cities are required to be covered under this. And he has also said that the lab for the existing area can be really very successful towards the redevelopment is concerned, and TPS can be very successful as far as the urban expansions is concerned, that too specifically in the peripheral areas. The excellent presentations, excellent answers given by both the speakers. We have enjoyed the presentation. Thank you, Team GRC, for taking the initiatives and organizing this webinar underlining the urban planning, TPS, and local area planning. These were the focus of the today's presentation. Thank you very much for sharing and allowing me to participate in this webinar. Thank you, NK Bhai and Rajesh Bhai, and of course Vatsal Bhai and Madam Deepika Dave. Thank you, each one of you. Thank you very much, and of course to all the participants. Once again, thankful to each one of you.
Thank you very much, sir. It was really, I mean, we always have an honor whenever we listen to you. It's very much inspiring for all of us also. Each and every time we love to hear you, sir. Now, I think we are coming towards the end of the seminar or the webinar. the responsibility of vote of thanks has also been given to me by our honorable chairman, Sri N.K. Patel sir. N.K., before I give vote of thanks, would you like to say something?
Rajesh,
Yeah.
I think time will not permit us.
Okay.
So it is a request to do vote of thanks by you.
That's right. I'm very thankful to each and every participant, first of all, because today's webinar had as high as 120 or more participants. I'm thankful to Dr. Mesram sir, obviously for concluding remarks and to be on with the webinar for full time. I'm thankful to Dr. Sri Pradeep Kapoor, Secretary General ITPI, Srinivas sir, who is from TCPO and was also in the participation. I'm thankful to NK, Chairman of GRC. He always comes with all types of webinars and he always inspires. I don't know where from he gets all this time, because he's a very good, successful businessman, downtowner. In GIC also as an engineer, he's giving much more of his time. But yes, from him we get recharge and more energy also. So I'm thankful to him also. I'm particularly thankful to both the eminent speakers, Dr. Vatsal Patel and Deepa Dave. They have really made us and enriched us with the knowledge. I'm thankful to Yash Majidhia for making this all come true, and GICA President KC Patel. Yash, now it's now final stage. Please just you can conclude with a sentence or so. Thank you.
Yeah. So it was a really nice session. Thank you everyone for joining, and we hereby conclude this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.